There we go.
Awesome.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Witches and Wine. This is the show where we talk about witchy stuff and we drink wine. Clink and drink. You can clink and drink us, Gina. There you go. Your water's fine. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Lola Stardust. And before we start, I like to do my disclaimer. This show is called Witches and Wine. Wine is in the title, so we do partake in spirits, and sometimes we get a little tipsy. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people don't like that, and we understand. And our suggestion is please click on the X above, and you don't have to watch us. Woohoo!
Problem solved. Pretty amazing.
So before we go to our amazing guests, I'd like to turn this over to my partner in crime, Silenist Stardust, and he's going to tell us about the wine we're drinking.
Hi guys. Today we chose a white wine out of Australia. It's from Yalumba Estate Vineyards. It's a Viognier. A Viognier is a white grape that is similar in mouthfeel to a Chardonnay, but has the flavor profile of a Riesling. This one here has some nutmeg, some honey, and some fig notes. So 90 points rated wine, and quite a bargain. Only about $10 a bottle. So if you can find it and you're looking for a nice, creamy, heavy mouthfeel white with a touch of sweetness, a Viognier would be an excellent choice.
It's a great summer wine, and we absolutely love it.
Yep.
We will clink and drink to that.
Jeez.
There's a lot of clinking and drinking. I'm sorry.
You don't apologize for that.
I know. I'm going to say, why say sorry? This, you know.
Not at all.
All right. So let's get started. As our viewers can see, we have the wonderfully talented, magical Mama Gina. Welcome, Mama Gina.
Hi, guys.
I had the pleasure of getting to actually have a discussion with her and talk with her for Donna Laveau's Candid Chats with Bella that we did a couple months ago, I think it was.
A bit, yeah.
And so I have just been honored to meet some great musicians and people, just wonderful people in the community. One of my favorites was you, Gina. You just struck a note with me. You make me laugh. You make us happy. Your music is soulful. We enjoy you a lot.
You're very kind. Thank you.
You're the true bard. I want to talk about, just recently we had the ATC held their Spring Mysteries online. This was a first for many of us due to the quarantine. And you performed at it, and the musicians that performed were amazing. So I don't want to say one's better than the other. That's not what this is about. But there was
favorites.
There was what you hit something in me, and it was your expressive face when you play music. I don't even know if you realize you do it, but I'm sure you've watched yourself perform. Do you realize how
ad nauseum?
No, you are so expressive. It comes out. It's natural. It's how you feel it. You've got to know that, right? Have people pointed this out?
So my first real band, not the duo and single stuff that I did when I was 16 and 17 years old, but my first on the road full-time band. Mm-hmm. I was just at the end of 17 going on 18, and it was a show band, and we did floor shows. Mm-hmm. And we did everything from country to rock to rap to Broadway musical stuff. We did all kinds of stuff, and costume changes, and it was acting, and it was comedy, and it was drama, and it was all this. It was like mini Las Vegas shows.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of where I learned to perform.
Yeah.
Those early years with them. And it's really funny that you talk about the expressions, because in that band, I had been with them for about 6 months, and man, I was and you learn to be kind of over the top, because you're in front of 250, 300 people every night, and you've got to be over the top to reach the person all the way in the back of the room, you know? And our booking agent had come in to watch the show one night. And at the end of the show, he came 5 hours of music and dancing and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
He pulled me aside and he said, "You're very good, course, I was like 18 at the time. I was really, really young. He said, "You're very good." He said, "But there is a real serious problem." And I'm all ears because I'm a kid. I don't know anything. And I was really learning so much from these people. And he said, "Your smile is ear to ear when you are on stage." He said, "When the lights are on." He said, "As soon as the lights are off, your face goes."
Oh, yeah.
He said, "You drop everything." He said, "And I know you're not sad," or he said, "You're focused on what you have to do next." He said, "But you can't do it."
Yeah.
You've got to be connecting with people all the time.
Yep.
Such a huge lesson for me because I was connecting with people, but I wasn't understanding that they needed to connect with me and they needed to see my engagement. And so it was a huge lesson for me.
Yeah.
I still drop everything quite often, you know.
Well, of course.
But when I am playing and when I am singing, and I have a whole philosophy about performing anyway, that has less to do with the technical aspects and more to do with how much emotion I can convey.
Yes.
Through the story and how much can come through me from other source.
Yeah.
So.
I saw that.
Thank you. I'm glad that you felt that.
Oh, and that is, and I looked at my husband when we were watching, and I'm like, just look at her. I mean, it just sucked me in. And, you know, I mean, it might have been the wine. I had a little wine. We're in Washington State, so we're a green-friendly state. I had a little, but you know what? That's okay, though, because the whole experience, it was perfect. It touched me so much. And it was one of my favorite parts of the whole thing. So I really appreciate it.
I appreciate that you said that because it's really easy to do when there are people in front of me. It's very hard to do when I'm recording something ahead of time, which is what I did for Spring Mysteries, and trying to imagine that there are people on the other side of my laptop screen.
Yeah. Oh, you did. I mean, you did it great. And you're one of those people that I could tell that it wasn't, you just feel the music. And I admire that in people because I love music so much. And I don't know if you've ever seen, there's a movie called About a Boy with Hugh Grant. And he goes to visit this boy that he's made friends with. He visits the mother, and they're playing on the piano and they're singing a song. Yeah. And he goes in his head, he's like, "Oh God, please don't close your eyes. Please don't close your eyes," because people close their eyes when they really get into a part, you know. And then they went and did it, and so they're just like, you know, closing their eyes and the feelings coming. And he's like, "Oh God, oh God." Well, I love that because I think that means that you've just let the music take over, and so you could tell that that's what it's doing with you. So, kudos to like showing us your vulnerable feelings because I think it can be kind of vulnerable at times, right?
Completely.
Yeah.
That's the only way that I can perform.
Oh, yeah.
That's all there is to it. I made a decision more than 3 decades ago that when I went on stage, it was going to be all or nothing.
Yeah. And you can't worry about, do I look strange or is it coming? Because that's not what it's about. It's not about, there's so many artists that have to look perfect and they're like, I don't know, I'm doing Vogue by Madonna all of a sudden. I don't know what that was. It was like, but anyway. But it's like robot and they look really good. We like musicians, we call it that musician face, when they're just like the lead guitar face, where they're just like, you know what I'm talking about, and I know
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they just get into it, and that's when I go, yeah, like.
Well, because you can tell they're not running the motions.
Yeah.
You can tell when it still means something to them with the music, and wanting to do the best that they can for the crowd and for themselves.
Yes.
There's other people that are just there to collect their check, and they're just going to do what they got to do to get past through the night.
Yeah.
And you can tell the difference.
And they look really good, and they don't break a sweat. And I'm like, well, okay, that's nice and all, but music's not about that. Music's about what's really in here. We like there's a band that we really like. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're 3 sisters. They're called Haim, spelled Haim.
I've heard a little bit, yes.
They're really good, and one of the girls makes
Yeah.
she plays bass guitar or something.
And she makes bass.
She makes bass face. Yeah.
She makes serious bass, and
It is not attractive. It is a very silly looking face, but I love it because I'm like, yeah, she's into it, and so I appreciate that. I appreciate it.
We make those faces when we have orgasms, and we make those faces when we play music, and there's nothing that can be done about it. If it's real, it's real.
Or when you have really good food, you know, like you just have a good meal, and you're like, oh my God, this is so good. Yes, and
so ecstatic ritual, Dionysian energy,
letting
the
it go.
release of
a good wine, a good steak, a good orgasm, and a good song. Clink and drink to that. I'm telling you.
Indeed.
So you're talking about your experience. It was different having to record something, and you've been doing a lot of online shows. I'm guessing. Have you been doing that kind since the quarantine?
I'm doing some. Actually, the Spring Mystery Show was the first that I did online. I'm a Luddite. Look, I'm 58 years old. Operating all of this gear is really a whole new adventure for me.
Yeah,
I'm the girl that picks up my guitar, goes and sits by a campfire and says, "All right, want to hear some songs?"
Yes.
And suddenly, I can't tour.
Yep.
Obvious reasons. I can't even really play around town. I can't do that either. Yeah. And the only way that I can continue to share my music is to record it by audio, which means I have to learn suddenly, because I can't afford to go into a studio right now. Yeah. So I have to learn all of this stuff. So all of my time in the last 3 months has been devoted to learning how to get a decent sound so that I can record some concerts and also do some live Facebook stuff, which is pretty easy and simple for me. Yeah. And to learn how to record. And I've actually done 2 CDs since I've been home.
Oh, wow.
Start to finish. I've done them and recorded them and gotten them out into the world, and am working on a new project.
Yeah.
So lots of focus on the audio and the video side and learning gear. And I have to do it, you know, or I've got to go get a job as a greeter at Walmart, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there would be something very wrong with me doing that because I wouldn't last 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, no, neither would we. So this quarantine has actually taught you how to be self-sufficient when it comes to producing your own. Well, you've already done that before, but being, what would you call, a home studio performer, which there's so many of those because we are all connected anyways. I see so many people that are just, you know, DJing from their living room or playing bands and stuff. So this has actually been a good thing. You've learned how to kind of catch up with what everyone else was doing.
Well, I'm working on it. Working on it. I've done a little bit of Facebook Live. I'm not overdoing it right now because I'm trying to focus. I have to narrow my focus to a couple of things. And so I've done a couple of Facebook Lives. I did the Spring Mysteries concert, and I just recently did another online festival called Other Worlds that was sponsored by some folks down here in Florida. And that was an absolute treat to do. I'm going to be doing another one in about 2.5 more weeks for Three Gates Gathering and Pagan Unity Festival. They have combined.
Yeah.
They combined,
right. Yeah. So I'm going to be doing a festival. I'm going to be doing a concert for them, and I've already actually just finished recording that and sent it to them, and some workshops and stuff too. So I'm excited. The new medium, I'm finding my way through it, and you know, I think that's kind of what we're all doing.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I know our coven, we do our SBITs online now, and it's been really nice to do it. It's not the same,
no,
but it's still important to have those interactions
to keep the connection strong.
Yeah.
I know we do a daily devotional as a coven with each other.
Every morning we get together, we talk about our gratitudes, and we read the Charge of the Goddess, and and talk about our intent for the day. And we actually learned that from the school, the Wiccan Seminary, because that's what they do there.
Right.
So we just do it on a smaller level. So yes, it's you can still have your spirituality and your creativity and all that.
The magic's
in
got
this
to
world.
continue. We just got to find new ways to present it.
I like that. The magic's got to continue.
Absolutely. And I count myself fortunate that I am privileged enough to have a roof over my head,
Yep.
to have food in my belly, even when I don't have a dime in my pocket,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
because family loves me,
Yeah.
and electricity and enough gear. Some of it has been donated, and some of it I had and cobbled it all together to be able to pursue the audio and the video stuff.
Yeah.
And I count my blessings every day. I really, really do, because I am a hardcore introvert, and I will gladly go hide for a month and not talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I do need people to help me complete the circuit.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
how can you be an introvert and be Mama Gina?
Well, that's really easy.
Yeah.
If you look at the Kiersey model of the Myers-Briggs, and
Yep.
Yeah, we know the Myers.
okay. So if you look at the Kiersey model, they specifically talk about the difference between introverts and extroverts, and it is not what most people think. Introverts get their energy recharge by pulling away, shutting all of the five senses or most of them down, and settling in quiet and calm and peace.
Yeah.
Extroverts get their energy from brushing up against other people and experiences, and
Yes.
they recharge their batteries. We charge completely differently. And
Yes.
I am actually on the scale between introvert and extrovert. The last test that I ever did, I'm like 1 point away from being 100% introvert.
Holy cow.
Wow.
But I compensate well.
Yeah, you do.
That's quite a mask to put on at that time then.
Yeah.
And stage is a very interesting thing because I control that space.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you put me in the middle of a big festival, you will not find me in the middle of the big festival. I will camp on the edge if I can.
Yeah.
I will kick back in my booth and let people come to me one or two at a time.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to be on stage in front of however many people want to come out. And I will happily be Mama Gina for as long as is necessary. But when it's done, I'm going to curl up and I'm going to find my quiet time.
Well, I've found that actually for a lot of performers, a lot of musicians that I enjoy, a lot of actors, actresses, that's actually really common. A lot of them are very shy.
Yeah.
And the art of their acting or singing actually is very therapeutic for them to get out there a little more. So
Right.
you would never know these performers. You just automatically assume, oh, they're outroverts or what extroverts, But it doesn't surprise me. But of course, you've got. So I wanted to say, I was so excited that we did get to see you on Spring Mysteries because I've never seen Nine Toes perform. So I got to see Nine Toes perform, and oh my gosh, I was like, you were a different person. Like Mama Gina was gone, and there was Nine Toes.
Nine Toes is a different person.
Yeah, I know. I saw it.
That yeah. So yeah, we're witches and wine, so I can talk about this.
Yes.
I didn't tell the whole story at Spring Mysteries because there was no way for me to squeeze in enough music if I just talked about everything. But the story of Nine Toes, and this is the very, very short version. In August of 2015, I had this story fall in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about this bard that has a curse on her that nobody can remember her name.
Yep.
And she makes the deal with the dragon, and the dragon has a toe fetish, and she spends the night with the dragon. He gets to take what he wants, and she gets a name everybody remembers. And literally, I was driving. The story fell in my head. I pulled off to the side of the road. I scribbled it down on about 10 pages. I sat down within a couple days and wrote 5 pages of lyrics. It's a long goddamn song, right?
Yeah.
So I wrote the song. I thought, I've never written anything like this. Never. I don't make stuff up. I am not that girl. I write about real, true stories.
Yeah.
And this whole story fell into my head, turns into this crazy drinking song, this whole bardic tale. And part of me in my head was like, I don't even know what I'm going to do with this. It doesn't fit into any of my music.
Yeah.
And part of me said, but this is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Drink to it and they will sing along. So I'm going to play it. I started playing it. That was August of 2015. 10 months later, in June of 2016, I was on the road. I wound up in St. Louis in a hospital and I lost a toe.
I heard about that.
So 10 months after I wrote the song.
Yes.
And I will tell you that the morning after the surgery, and I was not on morphine or anything else. There were no pain drugs because I couldn't feel my feet. So there were no pain drugs. Yeah. She walked into the hospital room.
Nine Toes did.
Nine Toes did.
Came to you.
And I was in that hospital for 6 days, 4 of which I was just sitting around waiting for test results so they could decide what they were going to do with me. And I wrote 6 songs in 4 days.
Wow.
And they were all Nine Toes songs.
Yeah.
I would say so. You were invoked.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She stepped in. I said, "Oh, you're real." She goes, I said, "Oh, and you have an accent too. Where are you from?" And we started talking, and she's been a very strong voice in my head for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
She has stepped back just a little bit because I have a new voice now, and that's Eva. She walks the stars, and she's 3,000 years in the future.
Yes.
And I hate to say this out loud, but 10 months before Ava showed up, I wound up in the hospital and lost the second toe.
Oh my gosh.
And so I've got 2 more voices waiting in the wings, and I've had a powwow with all of them now and said, nobody's getting any more toes.
I don't mean to laugh, but
not gonna happen. If you want some kind of ritual sacrifice, it will not be my flesh and blood.
Yes.
Nor will it be anybody else's. We'll do something else instead. But it shall not be any more digits, you will not get your 2 ounces of flesh.
No. Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about sacrifice for the craft or your art. I mean,
it's kind of bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a little, it's funny, but it's kind of scary at the same time. It's a little, you know.
It's just, it's one of those things that looking back on it, I'm like, man, they gave me every warning in the world.
Yeah.
They told me this was coming. They've all said what's coming. You know, the new voice in my head, which she won't get a voice for probably another couple of years.
Yeah.
She's already telling me what's coming.
Yeah.
But I've got to work on Ava's story right now, and it's so big. I've already written 15 songs for her.
Yeah. Those songs that you performed at Spring Mysteries too, the Ava story, it reminded me of those concept albums like that David Bowie would do, or Elton John, or so. I was very like.
Thank you, because I hear a little bit of Bowie in this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you go out to my Bandcamp site, I'm already posting some of her music, and it is not, by the way, it sounds like it when I play it on the guitar. It sounds like some of my other stuff, but when you listen to what I'm doing, what I'm recording,
yeah.
A friend of mine, Sonia Sadowski, she calls it cyberfolk. It's got influences of EDM and electronica behind it. It's got all this kind of really cool stuff, and it is a huge story arc. It's a space opera.
Yeah, you know? I love that.
I am so excited to be telling her story, and it's such a big story. It's such a Kabbalistic story in so many ways. It's a story of light and gravity and quantum entanglement in so many different respects, but it's also a lesbian love story in space. So
I love it. It's so Ziggy Stardust. I mean, it's so, Ziggy Stardust was Bowie's alter ego and came down to teach the kids how to rock and roll and how to love and how to be themselves. And so I mean, I'm a huge Bowie fan, hence the Lola Stardust part of my name. But so I can identify with that right away. And that's kind of the feeling I got. I love that kind of, we're sending someone from, whether it be another time or another, whatever, to kind of show people something, and yeah, I love it. I love that. But seeing you as Nine Toes was really eye-opening for me, because I felt like I was looking, and like you said, Nine Toes is a different person. You could see you embodied, like your facial expressions, your voice, everything about
mannerisms, all of it.
Yeah, I felt like, did I switch the channel and go to like some Irish, talk show where they're having this Irish lady play or something? I was like,
it was such a bizarre experience, and I've done integration with other entities before.
Yeah.
And I've done plenty of invocation, but I've done integration with a couple things over the last 40 years. When she showed up, I had enough experience. Once I got over the initial shock, I had enough prior experience to understand that at some point we would be integrated, and that she would be able to slip in and out as needed.
Yeah.
But it was so funny because for the first year that I was writing her music, she wasn't playing it. I was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was on stage in the middle of a concert one night, and I started to tell the story behind the story of the song that I was going to sing that was one of hers. And in my head, she said, I'm going to tell this story. And I felt the shift.
Yeah.
And there she was in front of the mic. And I mean, I was still there and present. It wasn't where I disappeared.
No, it wasn't like total possession or anything. Yeah.
It was a cohabitation. It was a symbiosis. And she just said, when I was a little girl, and she started talking, and I was like, I've never heard this part of the story. And I let her have the rest of the night.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was such an amazing thing.
Yeah.
That would have been the show to see of all shows, to see when the connection truly made.
And nowadays, I let her have her part of the show.
Yeah, I could tell with the Spring Mysteries, because when you came back as Nine Toes, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting to feel like I'm looking at a different person. So she really did take over. But I think us as pagans and witches and whatnot, we kind of do that anyways in our magic and not just our invocation, but when we perform our rituals, and there's a role that we play as.
We're being vessels.
We're vessels,
yes.
Yeah. And I think it kind of comes, especially for those of us pagans who can combine music with ritual or poetry or whatnot. I've been channeling deity in my poetry before I even knew I was channeling deity, because I've been writing poetry since I was a little girl. Right. And I found a bunch of my old journals from when I was like a teenager and in my early 20s, before I really understood what deity and what this is all about. And I'm reading them and I'm going, my God, it's there's Aphrodite, or there's Frigg, or there's Hecate, or that, and I had no idea. And I think it comes kind of natural to us to just kind of let go and let goddess, or whatnot.
I think that we are magical because we are so open, and that when we find the external magic, when we connect with the community that's magical, or when we find a resource that says, hey, this is what this looks like, it's us just finding ourselves, finding our home, because we were already magical. We were already channeling. And, I can look back and do the same thing at music that I wrote when I was in 4th grade and go, wow, those concepts, the songs are terrible, but those concepts still hold up. And they're so true for me, because I'm always looking for the true thing. That's my big deal, truth and emotion. And so, yeah, I mean, I just think that finding our home in the magical community is simply an extension of who we always have been.
Absolutely.
It's so nice to find community.
And I was just going to say, it's so wonderful to find that connection between all of us, that we can be, you can be Nine Toes and no one's going to look at you like, she's gone mad. Well, maybe we will, but it's a compliment. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, here she goes. She's gone mad. I can't wait to see. We do have multiple personalities that come through.
Oh, yeah.
As even someone who doesn't practice what we practice, we put on the different masks. We let out that certain person at certain times.
Well, there's business silentness. There's family silentness.
Yeah.
There's friends silentness. There's
father silentness.
There's silentness. You know, we have the different roles based on where we're at and who we're with.
Yes.
And it's an adaptability that we've all learned, and some can accept their adaptation, and other people have to be so stringent in their ways.
Right.
It's hard for some people to let go. We had a whole Witches and Wine about Dionysus and ecstatic ritual and trying to let go. And we had people chatting saying that, how do you do that?
What do you mean? How do you just release? And we're like, how do you not?
How do you not? But I think people are afraid to either look foolish, or some people just have control issues. They need to be in control, you know, so... I love watching how you perform as an artist, because you do, like I said, you get your expressions and then Nine Toes and then your story with Ava, and it gives us a look that, yes, it's okay to do this and find our own. Maybe I'm not the best singer or guitar player, but I can do it in my writing. I can do it in my rituals. I can do it. And I love that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm just gonna inundate you with compliments all night.
She's a little bit of a fangirl.
I'm
okay.
I'm fangirling.
That's not good.
So, I want to talk about your. You said you've been working on stuff. You made 2 new CDs. Are they out?
They are. Firewood and Rust.
Yes.
Is my newest full-length CD. I recorded it a year ago, March. Okay. And the people who were going to help me do that were there for the recording part of the process, and then they never finished mixing and mastering.
Oh, no.
So it sat fallow for an entire year.
Yeah.
And I kept reaching out to them and saying, I know I'm on the road and I'm not there, but I don't need to be in the room for this part of it. Just go ahead.
Yeah.
Get it done. I will bless it, or I will give you some notes and we'll fix it and we'll get it done. And it just never happened for a whole variety of reasons. But I think the real reason was that I was supposed to do it myself.
Yeah.
So by the time November and December came around this past year, I was already seeing some weird things happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I was already starting to get cancellations in January and February that didn't make any sense at the time, but in retrospect, they make a lot of sense. And I thought, you know what, if I'm going to be sitting still for 3 or 4 months, I am going to finally learn this recording stuff. This is going to be a simple project, because it's Firewood and Rust is a collection of songs that I wrote for some of the hardest stuff that I went through in the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Went through a divorce, went through a whole bunch of really just ick, you know?
Yeah.
And originally, when I wrote those songs, I was not ever going to play them out, and I was certainly never going to record them.
They were for you.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote them for me. Yes. Welcome to my therapy session, right? I wrote them for me, but also in the last 8 years, I've built a reputation of being the happy bard, the girl who goes out and makes people laugh, and yay, haha, no matter how bad things get, yay. Mm-hmm. And then here I've got this whole set of music that people are going, you know, when I did play them, people would cry in front of me. And I'm like, I can't play this stuff. But it struck such a chord with people.
Yeah.
And I finally realized that I did need to record that music. And I didn't need to have other people in the process. And so I completely re-recorded it in February.
Okay, yeah.
And learned how to do the things. And when I was done, I said, I believe I've got something that's going to be a good CD. And so I released Firewood and Rust.
Yeah.
And I also went back. I had recorded 4 naughty songs way back when I did the Nine Toes, the Bard CD. I had recorded 4 naughty songs that never got put on a CD.
Oh,
because,
wow.
well, the 10 songs that are on the CD are PG-13.
Oh, okay.
The 4 that I recorded, at least one of them is definitely not.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing where I actually make disclaimers before I play them. So
yeah.
So,
yeah, click the X if they don't like it. There you go.
So I decided that it was time to go back in, because I had written some more Nine Toes stuff in the meantime, and it was funny stuff. It was bawdy. It was about pirates. It was about Vikings. It was about a tarot reader who was really a prostitute, and she had the devil on her left tit. You know, I had.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
I want to hear that one.
I want to hear that one.
I'll give you links. I'll give you links later. That's Miranda. Miranda was the lady of the evening. But she, you know, so I had all these great songs that I'd never put them on CD. And so I recorded the ones that I hadn't recorded yet. I put the whole bundle together. And so there's an 8 or 9 song CD that's Nine Toes Naughty. And it's mostly inappropriate songs for Vikings and pirates and the rest of it.
Oh my gosh.
Nine Toes After Hours.
Yeah.
Yes. After the littles have all gone to bed.
Yes.
So I released both of those.
Yes.
Which I am so thrilled, because I felt like I needed to get those out of the way, because Ava has just been under my skin and just on the surface saying, look, we got to get this music recorded.
My turn.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, what is your sign? What's your astrological sign?
I'm a Sag sun, Sagittarius,
Yes.
a Capricorn moon, and a Capricorn rising.
Oh my gosh. So you have the Sagittarius, because I was going to say, you've either got Aquarius or Sagittarius in you, because I call all Aquarians aliens, but Sagittarius, they are. I love them. But Sages are have to find out what's out there and just keep going,
find search, missions.
And then the Capricorn is the organization.
The Cap is the one that keeps me. The Capricorn moon is the reason that I was able to not go completely insane when I was raising my son and had to have a job as a paralegal for 18 years.
Yeah.
I could. It allowed me to focus, you know, and do the practical thing.
Well, I was asking because the Ava that's reaching out, that's kind of how I came up with my Lola Stardust name. That's not my real name, but it's how I'm known. Is this person was reaching to me that I've known since I was a child, who was not of this world, and just kind of
with the spiders from Mars.
Yes, well, I'll tell you, and you know, I trust the people watching that they know me and or whatever. But it came from when I was a child. I loved the movie Xanadu. I freaking loved that movie. Okay, because it had roller skating, Olivia Newton-John, disco, and muses and mythology. What, I mean, come on. And so there was this other realm, and then of course the disco, and it was kind of spacey, and that's influenced me from such a young age, and that alter ego, or I like to call that person that kept reaching out. So when you say Ava kept coming to you, that's kind of how Lola has been with my whole life. And now I've integrated with her.
Right.
I'm just her now. Yeah. So I'm sorry, go ahead. So Ava kept knocking on the door saying, kind of taking up your time. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. And integration, I think, is the best end game. You know what I'm saying? I think that integration, where you truly are quantumly entangled, it elevates what you are, you know. In certain types of high magic, ceremonial magic, you integrate with Holy Guardian Angel.
Yeah.
You know, there's a point where having conversation with that holy guardian angel is no longer beneficial.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You've got to either chuck it,
Yep.
or you've got to do a complete 100% integration if you are going to, and evolve is the wrong word,
Yeah.
but you are going to become
who you're supposed to become, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's hard to explain.
It's hard to explain. Yes.
Yeah.
But the process with Nine Toes was similar to this, and the process with Ava is becoming that as well.
Yeah.
You know, when I get their stories, I actually see them through my eyes. I actually taste and touch and experience what is occurring. And it's not a matter of them whispering in my ear and saying, hey, this is no, it's not.
It's so much more. And here we go again about, I love that the three of us and hopefully our viewers are all going, yes, because if someone else heard this, they would just think we're batshit crazy. Like they would just think.
And you're okay with it?
You guys are okay that you're talking about, because like, where's the straitjacket and the padded room? You know what I mean? But it's not like that for us, because we understand that we're not losing a part of ourselves. We're gaining more we're complex people. And so we're always gaining more to ourselves. We don't stop growing. It doesn't matter how old we are.
We're trying to access the other 90% of the brain in our abilities that we've never accessed before.
Yes.
We're open to it instead of being willing to be constrained.
Yes. And I love that. I love that you share that with us and you're so open about it, because I think it's important that, I think there are people out there that feel like, am I going crazy? I mean, did you ever feel that way? Am I going crazy? Or did you just know that, nope, this is it?
I felt it very strongly when I was much younger, doing some integrative work. And I fought it for a long time. I grew up Catholic. I grew up Catholic. That's possession.
Yeah. Yeah, it is in the cat. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I was Catholic as well, so I understand.
Right. Yeah. So the integration, it took me probably 3 or 4 times longer than the average ceremonial magician, which is what I practiced at the time, to go through with the process, because I just couldn't lose control of myself. I couldn't allow something else to step in and become a part of me.
Yeah.
By the time Nine Toes walked into that hospital room, I think that I was ready.
Yeah.
For what was coming.
Yeah.
And when Ava showed up, I was certainly ready for that process. And like I said, I've got a couple more waiting.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not letting everybody in all at the same time, because I can't focus on...
And you don't have any feet left. If that...
No, I told you, we've had that conversation. They are not getting any more flesh.
So, can I ask, is it both feet or is it one foot you're missing toes?
One foot. My left foot, I am. If you look at the cover of my Nine Toes CD, you will see an apple blossom over the big left toe.
Oh, okay.
That was her toe. And then the one right next to it, which we knew I was going to lose literally the morning after the first surgery. But I didn't lose it for another 2.5, 3 years.
Was this, and you don't have to answer, was this because...
No.
Was it an accident? Was it health issues?
I am diabetic. I did not find that out until I wound up in the hospital that first time.
Oh, wow. Oh.
I walked into that hospital. I was also septic and I didn't know it. I'm one of those people that works until I die.
Yes.
And when I walked into the hospital, it was because the toe had literally... I don't even want to describe it for anybody, but
it's fine.
But when I walked into the hospital, I knew that somebody had to cut off the toe.
Yeah.
And when I walked in, I had been running a fever for about 2 months and eating ibuprofen every day.
Oh my God.
It was like, I can't get rid of this flu. I don't know what this is. Why I'm running a fever every day.
Oh, wow.
And still just kept going. And when I went into the hospital, you know, I'm in the ER, and finally when they took my sock off and looked at it, then everything went hyperspeed.
Oh, God.
And they came in right away and took blood and came back 5 minutes later, and the nurse with the results said, "So you know you're diabetic?" And I said, "No, but that might make a lot of sense."
Yes.
And
Light
so
bulb turned on.
that has been an adventure.
Yeah.
That has been part of, I'll say this and then we'll move on because I don't want to get preachy about diet, but
No, it's fine.
me making the decision to change my diet,
Yeah.
I'm one of the lucky ones. My pancreas works this much,
Yeah.
which means that I could make dietary changes. I was able to get off of all the metformin they wanted me on and off of the insulin 3 times a day, off of everything. Within 3 months out of the hospital, I was off of all of the pills. And within 6 months being out of the hospital, I was off of the insulin for good.
Amazing.
Good for you.
I made huge, drastic changes in my diet, very scientific. I am hardcore about keeping my sugar down.
Good for you.
But me controlling my diet has been the most magical thing I have ever done in my life.
I bet. Because that's a hard thing to do.
It's every single day I have to make the decision to be more full of life or to walk towards illness again.
Yeah.
And making those choices mindfully, consciously, every single day with every bite that I take, it has certainly been the most magical thing I've ever done. It's been the most work I've ever done.
That's willpower, and willpower is magic, I think. I mean, I know, because willpower is one of the hardest.
Yellow.
It's our yellow chakra. It's one of the hardest. It was one of my hardest chakras to work on. And so, good for you. And it's not preachy. It's your journey. Everyone has a different journey, and they got to come onto those decisions on their own, you know? And so what works for you might work for someone else, but it may not work for another person. So absolutely. Do you think that maybe Nine Toes, because she came to you before, do you think that was her trying to say in a way that you can understand as a musician that this is going to happen because you're not taking care of yourself? Or
I think this is twofold. I think that there was a part of her message that said that, most definitely.
Yeah.
Because that was definitely getting that story.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Because while I was in the hospital, I named the dragon Demasiado Dulce. Too sweet.
That's
once I understood what the dragon was.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I will also say this. I think that my being ill, also my being so sick for so long, put me in a state of mind that made me more open, less out of control and having to relinquish so much control, to be open to her message.
Yes.
And her message wasn't just about me losing a toe. It was completely about me growing beyond. Do you have time for a story?
Absolutely.
We have time for whatever you want. Go, please do. Yes.
So, I've never really put this out there. I've written it and I've posted it maybe once a long time ago, but the real story of the dragon, because everybody knows the song story, or if they haven't, go out and listen to it. But it's a ha-ha funny story about how this bard loses a toe to a dragon because she makes a deal so that she'll get a name that everybody can remember. Yeah. And she becomes Nine Toes the Bard, and it's a ha-ha funny story, and everybody sings along. But she also gave me the true story. And the true story is that starts out the same. She goes to find the dragon so that she can make a deal, because she hears this dragon can give her a name everybody remembers. And the dragon tells her, well, little bird, you want a name everyone can remember. You have to spend one night with me, and I may take whatever I wish.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of that, you shall have a name that everybody remembers.
Yeah.
And she steps into the lair
Yeah.
where she's held captive. And
Oh.
she can't leave.
Yeah.
She can't leave. And remember, I lived this story. This wasn't just her telling it to me. I lived this story.
Yeah.
She cannot leave. She's given a place to sleep. There's food every day. The dragon doesn't speak to her. She screams at the dragon. She can't leave the lair because it's magic.
Mm-hmm.
The dragon can come and go. She can go anywhere she wants in the lair, but she cannot leave.
Yeah.
Day after day after night after night. She can't leave.
Yeah.
And the dragon just ignores her completely, as if she's just a fly, a flea, you know. And every single day, that's it. She screams and she rails and she yells, and she finally settles back in after she thinks she's recorded. Maybe she's been there 3 months or so. And she's trying to figure out what she can do to provoke the dragon so that she can find a way out. And finally, one morning, the dragon comes to her and says, "So, little bird, I hear that you are a bard. Tell me a story." And so she thinks, this is my out. I just have to tell the dragon the story. And so she tells day after day, night after night. She tells stories. She sings songs. When she runs out of them after the first year, she starts telling stories that she heard other people tell her.
Yeah.
She starts singing songs from other people. After another year, she's just making up anything she can think of. This is her life. This is her life. Every single day is just spewing out stories to the dragon. And one morning, she's been there about 3 years now. And one morning, the dragon yells at her in the middle of a story. And he places a geas on her and says, "Silence."
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And she can no longer speak, but not now. She can't just not speak. She cannot play music because anything she does makes no noise.
Okay.
Footsteps make no noise. Now she immediately goes into a funk again.
Yeah.
Now the dragon has taken away her ability to do the one thing that she had left that she could still do in the lair, and that was to be a bard.
Yeah.
Was to tell stories. He stripped that from her. She can't make a sound. Mm-hmm. The only thing that she can do at this point, she has full reign of the lair. She can go anywhere she wants. There's only one real rule, and that is she cannot touch anything in the dragon's hoard because it is all poisoned. Mm-hmm. And if she touches it, the poison will kill her.
Yeah.
But she finally, after trying to scream and trying to vent at the dragon for a few weeks, she realizes this is not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And she finally just starts walking the lair. She's been there about 4 years now. This is the first time she's really gone exploring. And she starts to explore the lair. She walks through the treasure. She walks everywhere in the lair. Still can't leave.
Yeah.
Walks every day in the silence.
Yeah.
And she finally starts listening in the silence.
Okay.
And she starts hearing the sound of the owl somewhere far above the lair, and mice through the lair. And she starts, sometimes she thinks she can hear the winds. And she can hear the dragon when he comes and goes, and she can hear things that she's just not sure what those sounds are. And then she starts listening beyond those sounds, and she starts hearing her own voice with it.
Yeah.
And she begins to walk the lair. She's been there now 6 years, and she has taken to walking the lair. She knows the paths through the treasure so well that she's taken to not just walking in silence, but in complete and utter darkness.
Yeah.
She'll douse every flame and just walk for days, and sometimes not even return to her place, but she'll stay there.
Yeah.
Just where she is on the path, and sleep and wake the next day and continue walking.
Yeah.
She's been walking this labyrinth within the dragon's lair. So she's been there about 6 years, and one morning the dragon comes to her and says, "So, little bird, now I will release you from your silence, and I want you to tell me a story, but I only want to hear true stories and songs from you."
Mm-hmm.
And she thinks about it a little bit, and she said, I'll be back when I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
And so every couple of weeks, maybe it'll be a month or so, but she'll come with one song or one story. And if it rings true, the dragon is very pleased. And if it's not ringing true, the dragon will say, I think you need to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And some more. And so now what she was doing before has become the vehicle for her to become an amazing, amazing bard.
Yeah.
Sometimes if she can't find the song, she will douse every candle and she will go walking in utter and complete silence and darkness to find the song or the story.
Yeah.
So this goes on, and she's just there. It's no longer a matter of escaping. She's finally understood that the dragon has helped her become something far beyond what she was ever going to be. And it doesn't matter anymore whether she has a name or not.
Yeah.
So she's been there about 9 years, and she's walking through the lair in darkness and in silence. And because it's dark, she doesn't realize that a gem has fallen. A giant emerald has fallen from the top of one of the piles and is broken in the path.
Yeah.
And she steps on it.
Oh.
Ah.
And remember that the whole hoard is poisoned.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing that she knows, the dragon is standing over her and carrying her to her bed and saying, little bird, this was never supposed to have happened.
Wow.
And he does what he has to do and uses his flame to remove the part of the foot that where she's taken the poison in. She gets a little bit better, but then she begins to get worse again, and she knows she's dying. And so she asks the dragon for a mirror, because as days go on, she is aging, she's getting older, and she wants to see in the mirror the last true thing that she will ever know, which is the truth of her death.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The truth of her passing. And so she watches every day in the mirror as her hair grows gray and then whiter, and then it falls out.
Yeah.
And skin cracks and then begins to peel away until she is literally disintegrating.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been there almost 10 years. And
Wow.
she's laying in the bed, and she's almost just nothing but bone anymore.
Yeah.
She's about to completely dissipate into the world.
Yeah. Dust.
And the dragon leans over her and says, little bird, it's time for you to go home.
Wow. Wow.
And she wakes, and she is outside the lair on the side of the mountain in the clothes she went in.
Yeah.
It's been 1 day.
Oh, yes,
cow,
of
wait.
course. Wow.
And she takes her boots off. And the only proof she has that she was ever there was that the toe was on.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be harder to portray in a song.
Yeah.
I've tried a couple of times, and one of these days it will happen, but it hasn't happened yet because it is so... It's real. I mean, I feel it when I tell that story because I was there and I lived it. And
Yes.
it has so many layers and so many things going on in it, but it is such a story of becoming, and that concept of becoming a master, spending all that time.
Yes.
And then it doesn't seem like any time at all.
Yep. And it's about finding your true voice, finding the truth within yourself. And that's what resonated with me is the dragon knew that's bullshit what you're presenting to me.
Right.
That's not the authentic you.
The dragon was never her enemy.
No, absolutely not. And she needed that dragon to teach her that lesson and to find that truth and to come to almost to the brink of death. But that's what happens to us is when we come to the brink of death, that's when when we have illness or sickness or whatever, we do find that. Whether it's physically or if we're in abusive relationships or, whatever, we have to take from that we've stood on the edge of death.
Right.
Now, what do we have to show for it? And you better come back from that It's something. You got to have a message or something.
It gives you reflection on what's truly important.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
That's amazing. I thank you for sharing that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I never knew that. I've heard different stories and the songs and
Right.
oh, this happened, but thank you for sharing that with our viewers and with us. We're very honored. I would like to wrap it up with, would you like to play a song?
Sure.
We're gonna put ourselves on mute so you don't get our echo.
I was gonna do something else, but I'm not. We've talked so much about Nine Toes. I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna be a cappella.
Okay.
So,
wonderful.
Do that. And just the tiniest bit of background on this. I once asked Nine Toes. We were at a camping event, and it was quiet, and I asked her how she became legendary. And she said, "Did I ever tell you about the time that I stood between two armies and sang to stop a war?" And I said, "You stopped a war." And she wept right there. And so I wept. And she said, "No." The Red King said, "The moon isn't mine." The Blue King said, "'Tis not." They gathered troops and armor, the finest could be bought. And as they camped the days ahead, the bard she listened well to the hearts of every man, so she could truly tell the tale. Why do we teach our sons and daughters, oh, what their hearts are for? Then battle for the moon and march them off to war. The bard had seen such bloodshed in her fine young life. She saw no glory in this war and wanted no one to die. She could not fight for peace, you know that battle's never won. So she asked her God and goddess, what else could be done? High up she drew the mother, and down she drew the stars. And in she drew her breath to still her trembling heart. Her God had gifted her with song, she knew what she must do. And she slept upon the field that night beneath the bright full moon. Why do we teach our sons and daughters, oh, what their hearts are for? Then battle for the moon and march them off to war. 1,001 men to her left, the same upon her right. She sang that sun up in the sky. She sang with all her might. She sang love lost and love that won, and all the while she played. Not a man did cross her, not a man lifted his blade. And when the sun had settled and she lay down for the night, she knew there were two angry kings still itching for a fight. The second morning, like the first, she did what she must do. And though her throat was ragged, her voice, it rang out true. Why do we teach our sons and daughters, oh, what their hearts are for? Then battle for the moon and march them off to war. High on she sang through wane and moon, and as the nights grew dark, her voice was all she had to keep those kings apart. She never saw the men who wept and left the front for home. She only saw those standing as the moon began to grow. 28 days she sang, and the bard could do no more. And with heavy heart and God's release, she left them to their war. She watched each slay the other till no one stood, not even kings. Her tears ran freely like their blood. I've changed not one damned thing. But one man stood beside her, once warrior, now free. I'll not lift my blade again last night, yet changed the world for me. Why do we teach our sons and daughters, oh, what their hearts are for? Then battle for the moon and march them off to war. Why do we teach our sons and daughters, oh, what their hearts are for? Then battle for the moon. Why do we battle for the moon? We battle for the moon and march them off to war.
Oh my goodness, I was getting teary-eyed.
Yes.
Oh,
Loves when that happens.
oh my gosh. Mama Gina, you just, I am so honored. We are
Yes.
so honored
This
to
is
know
amazing.
you and have you on this show. That is
Thank
so,
you guys.
oh, thank you so, so much. And where can our fans, your fans, everyone, where can we find you?
I will make sure to post some links in the show notes when you post the show
Okay.
on YouTube, but mamaginamusic.com, that's MAMAGINA music.com, that's my main webpage.
Okay.
And all of my recorded music is available as digital downloads, including the new Ava stuff
Awesome.
that I have recorded so far. All of that is on Bandcamp. So
Okay.
if you go to mamagina.bandcamp.com, you will find me, or just go to Bandcamp and hunt for Mama Gina. You will find me out there. And like I said, I'll make sure that I post, when you post it on Facebook and when you post in YouTube, I'll make sure and drop something in the show
You
notes.
can email me links too, and I can put it, do that, and then I'll put it in the description so it's already there.
I will do that. I will do that.
Thank you so much. So before we go, we do our little closing here. Thank you so much,
Sure.
Mama Gina.
My
I hope you're a fan of Witches and Wine now, because
Yes.
Witches and Water.
butter.
So if any of our viewers would like to be a guest on our show or have any questions about what we do, please email us at
crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
What was that?
That was crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
Thank you so much, everyone. And remember, be kind to one another, walk with the goddess, and until next time, blessed be. Goodbye, everybody.